What were we missing from this course? Well, I think it was pretty obvious. Yeah, I think it was punk. During the end of the 1970s and the beginning of the 1980s, punk found its home in a corrupt and tense city of Chicago. The punk rock scene was born in Chicago as a challenge to the conservative mindset of the Midwest. With the freedom of fashion and expression, punk found itself as a home for the misfits and outcasts of Chicago, and it's all started at a club called Lumiere Vampire. Lumiere was located on a stretch of Halsted Street south of Fullerton, and sadly it burned down under mysterious circumstances in April 1978, only to be replaced by a liquor store. But back in 1977, Lumiere was the home of punk rock. Just in case you're a visual learner and need to understand exactly how much punk rock exploded in Chicago from the 70s to the 80s, here are the Chicago home punk bands from the 70s, and here are a list of the punk bands in the 80s from Chicago. Now, just to get this straight, the neighborhood hated punk. There was major gentrification going on in the surrounding area of Lumiere, and it was very noticeable that they wanted punk out. Retaliating in newspaper articles surrounding neighborhoods complained about the violence, the drugs, and the obscene music, but in reality, Lumiere was an LGBTQ+ club filled with people of different sexualities, ethnicities, gender identities, and races, which was not very conservative of the communities surrounding Lumiere. This ongoing tension led up to the burning of Lumiere. No one ever found out who truly did it, but nothing was done about it to find out, and no one stopped the fire while it was happening. Suspicions of the city and the police burning down Lumiere circulated around the punk community, but in the end, Lumiere never got its justice, and the punk community was left without a home. Being in limbo, the punk community wondered what was next, and the answer to that question was Tutu and the Pirates. Lead singer Little Richie Speck, bass player Frankie Paradise, and guitar players Jimmy Socket and Mel Torment. And last but not least, the drums, Tutu. Tutu and the Pirates made a name for themselves as one of the first early punk bands to originate here in Chicago. They started opening for the Ramones and playing local venues all across the city. Their name really got out there and became a local legend. Following suit came The Way Out, Silver Abuse, Naked Raygun, and Toothpaste. As bands started popping up, so did venues. They all started playing punk rock music all over the city, such as Gazebo, Mothers, and of course O'Banion's, which was crowned as the new Lumiere, but incredibly more violent. Although recording punk was still in its early stages, with Gary's Place by Mentally Ill being one of the very first singles to ever be recorded and produced as a Chicago punk record. Although punk did not originate in Chicago, each city had its own take on the genre. California's punk was different than New York's punk was much different than Chicago's punk. No matter the punk, though, conservative America did not understand it.
I mean, stand up just a second. I'm sorry.
My children, but I don't want one that's got purple hair standing up. I'd rather see her on drugs than that.
Apparently you put this on your...
On the wrist.
And the idea is to what? To injure the other person, or...?
Yeah, you just go out and you have fun. Like if somebody falls on the floor, you know, they could get trampled or something, but everybody will always help you up, you know. Nobody will let you get down there and get your head smashed. Nobody's out to beat anybody's head in.
Okay, but the hurt part of it.
It's like football.
I've seen a lot more people hurt in a high school or college football game than any night or any month of anybody dancing.
Your future.
That's pretty ambiguous.
Yeah. You don't care?
Not really.
He's a what? Why is he a moron?
He's just a silly guy. I mean, he's got a dumb haircut.
No matter the outrage, it just solidified the punks' ideals that they did not care. They're going to continue being their outrageous, angsty, edgy selves, and nobody could stop them. Nowadays, you could find punk at bars such as Exit, Cobra's Lounge, and Delilah's Chicago. Punk was and still is chaotic, aloof, and angsty, and didn't take too much seriously, compared to musicians nowadays in popular genres that use their platforms as a way to speak out against injustices, such as Chicago-based musicians like No Name and Thaddeus Took that have been very vocal in the Black Lives Matter movement. But punk never really sought for big change. They simply wanted to be themselves, dress how they like, and listen to what they like, without being misunderstood or attacked for the things that they enjoy. Nonetheless, punk rock and its unruly attitude left its mark on Chicago and the city as a whole.